then he has to react to that. And Jarrett Allen is on an island by himself. I feel like the person that Sean Marks should have just ran into the locker room and confronted should have been Kenny Atkinson when Embiid elbowed him in the face, but he doubled down on it. He made Jarrett Allen guard Joel Embiid alone. No one does that. Not the Raptors. The Raptors put Siakam, Ibaka, and Marc Gasol, some of the best post defenders in the league, together to guard one Joel Embiid and eliminate him. That's what it takes. And we're in our version of Ibaka, Gasol, and Siakam is Taurean Prince and Joe Harris.
Nope.
And like, are you kidding me? So if now to bring that to Kevin Durant is afraid to play right now because he's scared to get hurt. So now you want to tell me that you're going to wait all of these months to finally get Kevin Durant, knowing this entire thing falls apart if Kevin Durant gets hurt. If Kevin Durant gets hurt, Kyrie by himself is not leading you to a championship. Even if you got a third superstar, Kyrie and Bradley Beal is basically John Wall and Bradley Beal, and you've stripped down the team to get this other superstar, that whether it's Beal or AD, Kyrie and that dude is not enough. You have to protect Kevin Durant. I don't want Kevin Durant guarding John Collins. I don't want Kevin Durant guarding Isaacs in Orlando. I don't want Kevin Durant guarding Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't want Kevin Durant guarding Siakam, who's a small forward. He's too, why would I ever want to see Kevin Durant banging with Ibaka for a rebound? This is insanity. If that's what Sean Marks is thinking, he's off his rocker. Because if you lose Kevin Durant from him getting a Montrezl Harrell elbow into the chest or getting physically bumped out of the lane and tear that Achilles again, then it's your fault they didn't win a championship, because that should never have happened. There is no Draymond Green on his team. Draymond would take the physical fours. Draymond has legs like tree trunks. The bottom half, he got a dunk back there. He's built to guard in the post. Kevin Durant is not. He was a power forward by name only. When he could take a power forward and take advantage of him, that's what he would do. And then he'd come down court on the defensive side, and whoever was weaker out of the big wing or the power forward, that's who Kevin Durant would take, because they had a Draymond Green. Who is the Nets' Draymond Green? And when is Sean Marks going to have the proactive realization that it's not working with Taurean Prince and Travion Grant and Jared Dudley and Rondé Hollis Jefferson?
I've already forgotten about Rondé. He's out of sight, out of mind.
Right? Andrew Nicholson.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? You're gonna tell me that you're a great GM while Christian Wood was out there for you to get, Chris Boucher was out there for you to get. There was guys cut, released, who you could have traded for. I can't make a hypothetical trade up. I don't know if we have the assets for it, but could you trade or do something with Sacramento to get one of their big power forwards out of there? Could you get a Harry Giles out of there and give someone, a Jarrett Allen, a young partner that he could grow with, that could actually come and block a shot on the weak side from him? How good would Jarrett Allen be if you added a player that can let him have the freedom to be able to roam and just dominate in the post? Rudy Gobert is the best defensive center in the league. He still plays with one of the best small power forwards there is in O'Neal. Physical, tough, does the dirty work. And we answer that with Taurean Prince. Sam, tell me why I'm bugging. Where am I going wrong? Why are Nets fans yelling at me on Twitter about wanting? I don't see anything wrong with my logic. You want Kevin Durant guarding these big fours? I don't want him guarding the kid from Chicago. What's his name again that wants to get traded now? I don't want Kevin Durant guarding that kid. Markkanen?
Markkanen, yeah. So I think I agree with a lot of the stuff you brought up. I think it is interesting, like how they'll work defensively, and I guess a lot of it will depend on who else Durant, for example, is on the floor with. But so the one nugget I heard, which I thought was interesting, was I was listening to Windhorse on one of his podcasts, and he was saying that there's a chance that with the way that teams are gonna kind of be underwater due to the pandemic and everything, that they might reinstitute an amnesty provision, which is one of my favorite little nerdy NBA front office tools, because it ends up allowing teams out of some of their terrible contracts. Obviously, they're still eating the money, but it doesn't count against the cap. We'll remember
amnesty Kyrie tomorrow.
The Knicks should obviously on Chauncey Billups, and they should have on Amari, and I remember the Nets used it on Travis Outlaw, which was one of their terrible signings in the summer of 2010. And one thing that I think is interesting is one name that's come up, who you actually recently mentioned, who people think might get amnestied, is Blake Griffin.
I mean,
and that's a guy who, even though he's always not been great defensively, I think there is something to having big physical guys. I thought one thing I never understood that really irritated me about Kenny was always really reluctant to play somebody like DJ, which is why Jacques ended up playing DJ a lot, and DJ actually played really well before the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And Kenny was always putting Jared Allen, especially earlier in the year, on guys like Embiid and guys I'm trying to think off the top of my head who's an unbelievably big and strong center, guys like Brook Lopez, big dudes where you need a guy like DJ in there who just has extra body and extra weight. And I do think that's just something generally that the Nets need.
But even DeAndre in his history has not played in the 5 alone.
Yep. 100%. And this is why. And this is why, by the way, I think you feel this as a Nets fan, beyond the Bucks, the team that I'm personally always the most afraid of when the Nets play them is Indiana, because they have no answer to Sabonis and Turner every single time. It's a total bloodbath in the paint.
And we don't learn, and that's the thing. There is not one adjustment to it. I'm a Manchester United fan. We haven't talked about this. Do you watch any Premier League football or soccer?
No, not particularly. I was into it for a little while, but now I faded.
Yeah, the way the NFL makes my stomach turn, I really have gotten into Premier League over the last few years. But I'm a Manchester United fan, right? And they have a coach, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's never coached a big team before. He wasn't a manager with a CV, but he's a team legend. Joins the team, has to rebuild a team that usually just buys all the superstar players that they can. And he comes in and he has another philosophy and says, you know what, we're going to get young players, we're going to develop them, we're going to make them good. And at the end, we're going to have a solid team that's going to win for years to come. And the Manchester United fans are all pissed because they're kind of like the Yankees of the league, right? They don't want to give this guy a chance. They don't want to show what he's going to do. They're always calling for him to get fired. And I'm always trying to appeal to the fan base to be give this guy a chance to at least install what he's going to do. He hasn't even been on the team for a year, a full year. Like, this is his first full season that the team is doing, what he's done. And he's rebuilt the team. He's drafted well. He's brought in players and all this stuff. But and they hate him. And they give him so much shit. And then while on the other end, the Nets fan, they're so satisfied that they got the superstar that they don't even care. Oh, we've got names that they're gonna talk about on First Take and Get On Up and First and whatever, or whatever the one is with Uncle Shay Shay,
yeah.
and Skip Bayless. They, like, Nets fans, I think there's a whorish nature to them that they just want it to be relevant and that the winning doesn't matter. And no one realizes that Sean Marks has had 3 losing years. We went backwards. We are a below 500 team. Yeah, last year we were a below 500 team, and it made sense. The team's average age was 22. Now we've got Garrett Temple, we've got DeAndre Jordan, and like old dudes, old satisfied rich dudes. Like that's what they are. Like that, they're humans at the end of the day, and they've done what they've always wanted to do, and now they're on the Nets, and it's like basketball is secondary. And I blame Sean Marks. What happened to culture? And now you're going to tell me that fuck culture, we're going to bring in players, we're going to trade all of these dudes, and we're going to basically be run by the superstar who believes he could play power forward. And that I think that's just crazy. I think the whole concept of where we are right now is so dangerous, and our basketball karma could be hurt. And that brings me to what I think the third conspiracy is on why they haven't gotten a power forward. Are you ready for this?
Lay it on.
So last year, pre-Kyrie KD, I noticed Sean Marks was doing everything to dump salary. Right?
Yep.
At the time, he wasn't supposed to know Kyrie and KD was coming. But he was trading draft picks, losing out on assets to get cap space. Why would the general manager of a team that was recovering from the worst trade in the history of the NBA be trading assets, losing draft picks and first rounders to create cap space if they didn't know something was coming? Now, even before I had friends who told me, not sources, you bastards, not sources, friends, colleagues, people I work with who like to tell me things because they know I'm super passionate about the team. They would tell me that Kyrie and KD was coming, but this was after I noticed Sean Marks was making some moves that made no sense. Made no sense because why would he have expected to be able to need cap space for 2 max contracts? What about the Nets was an attraction for him to get rid of assets to do that? Am I crazy in my thinking that the Nets had no business to even believe that they were up for getting superstars? Can you agree with me?
No,
with that?
I disagree. I think they. I mean, they had clearly been planning for it. I mean, they went from 1 slot to 2 slots, but everyone knew that the second slot could be opened if they were to renounce the D'Lo.
Right, but why would you as a shitty team who the year before